This is my audience. Hello, good evening, everyone. Today I'll be talking about how movie scores and the sound of a movie impacts the scene of a movie. And today I'll be talking about Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer. So why the movie score of a film matters, and I'm going to be specifically talking about Interstellar. So today I wanted to talk about Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan because they are known to work together to create films. And Hans Zimmer is a famous composer, while Christopher Nolan is a famous director. And you may know them from Pirates of the Caribbean or Interstellar or Dunkirk. And they've all just worked in these films, and Hans Zimmer has created the film score or the sound behind the movie. So something that Christopher Nolan wanted to do while he was working with Hans Zimmer was that he wanted to completely let him have his art. So he didn't want the storyline of his movie to affect the way that Hans Zimmer wrote his music. And so that's why this technique helped them to create a purely done film. And so I wanted to read this quote. It says, "It was very important to me that the music not pay any attention to the genre of the film. What I wanted to do was engage Hans in a very purely creative process." So as you may know, for the films like The Dark Knight, Dunkirk, and Interstellar, each film has a distinct element and a distinct kind of instrument. And so the first film, The Dark Knight, uses the big horns. Kind of sounds like that. So the Dark Knight actually is like intense. Like you can hear the sound, like it's like super like, an intense scene. And the Dark Knight trilogy is like about like running out of time or things like that, and so you'll see that throughout like his movies. And then with Dunkirk, Hans Zimmer, he uses the title orchestra. So with each element, it's just like an intense, it makes you feel like you're in the movie and you feel very like intense and your heart rate starts going up. And the title orchestra includes string instruments like the violin or the viola. And then finally, the organ piano was the newest movie that he made with a new element, which is, usually we use the piano, but this one he used the organ piano, which is a massive structure and one of the biggest instruments in the world. And it sounds like this. So Dunkirk and Hans Zimmer, they each have a distinct style, and together they are able to join together, and it's what we call a creative marriage. And so I wanted to specifically focus on the church organ and how they try to incorporate it into the movie Interstellar. So if anybody has ever watched Interstellar, they know that it's about a space movie. So you don't really think that the organ would be related to a space movie, but the organ and the storyline, like not just the storyline of the space movie, but just the storyline of the daughter and the father, it just talks a lot about like their love, and it talks a lot about like their how he is a world away, like a universe away from her. And he kind of incorporated religion because they talked about like higher beings and things like that. And so he said that the organ was perfect for this because you find the organ in a church. And so I wanted to actually show you guys the example of like what the difference is between a movie that is like a movie without sound and without like music, and then a movie with sound and with music, and then you'll see the difference of how you feel. And I want each of you to notice how you feel with each scene, with the scene. So go ahead and
then we can talk about completing the mission.
Dr. Matt, listen to me.
This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
It is not.
Cooper, there's no point using our fuel to chase.
Analyze the endurance spin.
What do you do?
Docking.
Endurance rotation is 67, 68 RPM.
Okay, get ready to match our spin with the retro thrusters.
It's not possible.
And then we can talk about completing the mission.
Dr. Mann, listen to me.
This is not about my life or Cooper's life. This is about all mankind. There is a moment.
It is not.
Cooper, there's no point using our fuel to chase.
Analyze the endurance spin.
What do you do?
Docking.
Endurance rotation is 67, 68 RPM.
Okay, get ready to match our spin with the retro thrusters.
It's not possible.
No.
Okay, so I just wanted to like show you the difference between those two scenes, and I wanted to specifically talk about Interstellar because in space there isn't sound, and so I think what Christopher Nolan really tried to do is show like that sound is as important as silence, and so sometimes like there's scenes where you can't even hear the explosion because in space you can't hear anything, but you could hear like the organ in the background and stuff like that. And so it just really makes a difference, especially when he decides that he's gonna dock. Like he's gonna do this really hard thing that this other guy tried to do and he died. And you just hear the organs and they go ba 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 ba, like it's really intense. And so I wanted to also mention a quote by Hans Zimmer. And it's what seems to be a major preoccupation of Chris and mine is the idea of time and how time affects everything. And as we all probably know the story of Inception and how they do like a dream within a dream and things like that. And so everything, if you've noticed, the themes in each movie for Hans Zimmer and Christopher Nolan is about time. And it's about like how time affects the worlds that they create. So they actually use a specific like illusion for us, for the audience to hear, and we don't really notice it because we're so focused on the storyline. But our body does notice it because it's called the auditory illusion. It's the ticking clock, and every time we hear that, our stress level goes up. So I call it like anxiety, a sound of anxiety, because you just like you're anxious like when you hear it. So this sound right here is called the shepherd's chop. And basically it's mixed in, so it's a bass octave, one lower octave and a higher octave, and it sounds like it's like an infinite sound, and it just raises your like stress level. And so sometimes also Christopher Nolan and specifically Hans Zimmer, because he composes the music, he uses the 60 beats per minute, and so you just hear that beat, and he bases his music around that. So he used that in Interstellar, and you hear it in Dunkirk as well. Dunkirk is based on time, and so 1 minute goes from 12 minutes to an hour to a week in Dunkirk. And so, so basically all sometimes you ever need is just that ticking time. That. So to just conclude, I wanted to share a quote from Christopher Nolan. He said that at one point you just have to let the music, you just have to let the music run, and so that the storyline is able to play itself, and the elements of the story are able to interlock with the music of Hans Zimmer. And so I think that it's brilliant, and I think that they have done an amazing job. And so he said, "You realize the momentum of the film is entirely defined by the structure of the music as the film sort of snowballs towards the end." And so this is kind of like the end of Dunkirk, and you kind of feel it. It's kind of like concluding, and it's like melancholy.